In the shadowed depths of a forgotten town, there lived a director named John, whispered about in hushed tones for his uncanny ability to unearth the darkest nightmares and bring them to life on the silver screen. John had once been a nameless soul, a recluse who prowled the outskirts of the industry, fueled by a burning desire to leave an indelible mark on the world of horror. His journey had begun in the desolate corners of forgotten movie sets, where he crafted his first low-budget films. These eerie productions held a raw, unfiltered quality that seeped into the very fabric of his being. As John's artistry grew, so did his reputation. Hollywood beckoned, drawing him into its twisted embrace like a spider ensnaring its prey. But as his star ascended, so did the malevolent forces that lurked within the shadows. Night after night, John found himself ensnared in a waking nightmare, his slumber a battleground between the real and the ethereal. These dreams, if they could be called such, were grotesque tapestries of terror, haunting his every waking moment and threatening to consume his very soul. Within the walls of his home, John's sanity teetered on the edge. Each night, he would awaken in a cold sweat, gasping for air, his mind ablaze with unspeakable horrors. The veil between reality and fantasy had become tattered, and the line between his art and his nightmares began to blur. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the landscape, John would venture onto his latest movie set, an abandoned asylum rumored to be cursed by a vengeful spirit. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy, as if the very essence of fear had taken root in the decaying halls. Crew members whispered tales of strange occurrences, apparitions in the corners of their eyes, disembodied whispers that seemed to echo through the endless corridors, and an oppressive sense of dread that hung heavy in the air. But John, driven by his insatiable thirst for horror, brushed off these eerie happenings as mere superstitions. He believed that the rumors were a twisted form of advertising, the universe aligning to create the perfect atmosphere for his magnum opus. Yet, deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted in his mind, an inkling that his nightmares were more than mere figments of his imagination. One fateful evening, as the moon cast an otherworldly glow upon the crumbling asylum, John found himself ensnared in a demonic dance of fear and reality. The cameras rolled, capturing the unfolding nightmare he had orchestrated. As the scene reached its climax, the veil between the living and the dead trembled, and a malevolent force surged through the very heart of his creation. The animatronic monster, an abomination of metal and wires, took on a life of its own. Sparks erupted from its hulking frame, engulfing the set in a blinding inferno. Screams of terror mingled with the crackle of electricity as the crew members, trapped in this hellish spectacle, were consumed by the monstrous apparition. John stood frozen, his heart pounding in his chest, as the line between his dreams and reality shattered into a million fractured shards. The truth pierced his consciousness like a serrated blade. His nightmares were harbingers of death, a chilling omen that foretold the demise of those who dared to bring his twisted visions to life. In the aftermath of this calamitous scene, John was left to ponder the grim reality that his art had become a conduit for unspeakable horrors. The movie's production was unceremoniously halted, and the abandoned asylum stood as a chilling monument to the lives lost in pursuit of his macabre vision. Haunted by guilt and plagued by the specters of his past, John made a solemn vow to never delve into the realms of horror again. He retreated from the spotlight, seeking solace in the embrace of a world untouched by the darkness he had once embraced. But the terrors of his past refused to be exorcised so easily. Night after night, John would awaken, his body drenched in cold sweat, the echoes of his nightmares etched upon his soul. The horrors he had once summoned had become his constant companions, a constant reminder of the price he had paid for his art. And so, John retreated into a twilight existence, forever haunted by the demons of his own creation. The world had lost a master of horror, but in his sacrifice, he had discovered the truest form of terror, that which lurks within the depths of one's own mind. The dimly lit room was filled with nervous tension as the cast and crew gathered for the final day of shooting on the set of Whispering Shadows, the most anticipated horror movie of the year. They had all heard the rumors about the mysterious actor who had been cast in the lead role. No one knew much about him except that he exuded an eerie presence, and his chilling performances left everyone unsettled. His name was Victor Blackwood, a name that carried a sense of foreboding with it. Victor seldom interacted with his coworkers, preferring to immerse himself in his character. His piercing blue eyes seemed to peer into the souls of those around him, and his tall, slender frame moved with a ghostly grace. Some whispered that he had an otherworldly aura, as if he were a spirit trapped in the realm of the living. From the moment Victor arrived on set, strange occurrences began to plague the production. Lights flickered inexplicably, objects moved on their own accord, and whispers filled the air when no one was speaking. It seemed as if the very presence of Victor stirred something dark and supernatural. The cast and crew grew increasingly wary of him, whispering among themselves about the actor's mysterious origins. Some claimed he had made a deal with the devil to gain his acting prowess, while others believed he was an immortal being who fed on the fear he instilled in others. The tales grew wilder with each passing day, fueling the unease that surrounded Victor Blackwood. But despite their fear and apprehension, everyone acknowledged the sheer brilliance of Victor's performance. He brought a raw intensity to his character, a haunted man tormented by his own demons. His portrayal was so vivid and disturbing that even the most seasoned actors found themselves questioning their own sanity. As the final scene of Whispering Shadows wrapped up, the cast and crew erupted into relieved applause, eager to leave the unsettling atmosphere behind. But when they turned to congratulate Victor, he was nowhere to be found. Panic set in as they searched the entire set, but he had vanished without a trace. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, yet there was no sign of Victor Blackwood. Rumors swirled once again, suggesting that he had returned to the darkness from which he came. The film's director, desperate for answers, began investigating Victor's background. What he discovered sent shivers down his spine. Victor Blackwood had died in a tragic motor accident 5 years prior to the start of filming Whispering Shadows. The realization was chilling. How could a dead man have acted in their movie? Had they unknowingly brought his spirit back to life? The news spread like wildfire, only adding to the movie's already skyrocketing popularity. People flocked to the cinemas, eager to witness the work of a ghostly actor who had captivated audiences from beyond the grave. The supernatural aura surrounding the film became its selling point, drawing crowds and creating a cult-like following. As viewers watched Victor Blackwood's performance, they felt a tangible connection to the other side. They were transfixed by the intensity and realism he brought to his character, an unnerving reminder that death could not always separate the living from the dead. The movie became a phenomenon, breaking box office records and solidifying its place in horror history. Yet, even as Whispering Shadows achieved unparalleled success, a lingering question haunted the minds of all involved. What had really happened to Victor Blackwood? Some believed he had found a way to transcend death, forever capturing the essence of terror on celluloid. Others speculated that he had struck a deal with forces far more sinister than the mortal realm. But regardless of the truth, one thing was clear: the enigmatic Victor Blackwood had left an indelible mark on the world of horror cinema. And as the credits rolled, the audience was left with a lingering sense of unease, knowing that they had witnessed the work of a specter whose story would forever remain a chilling mystery.
I hope you enjoy the content I upload. If you like what I'm doing, why not think about clicking on the subscribe button to keep up to date on my uploads. Thank you all for the great support.
The storm intensified, unleashing a torrential downpour that battered the desolate movie set. The abandoned sound stages echoed with eerie creaks and groans, as if the very structure of the place was haunted. Steve, the director of the ill-fated horror film, The Haunted Car, was there, consumed by guilt and fear. He had been left alone to confront the horrors that had unfolded on this cursed location. The night swallowed everything in darkness, save for the flickering light of the editing suite. Steve sat there, his heart pounding in his chest as he reviewed the cursed footage, hoping to find a glimmer of redemption. The scenes of the fatal car stunt gone wrong replayed in his mind, the screams of the doomed actors echoing through his soul. Their blood stained his hands, forever etching the weight of their deaths into his conscience. As the storm raged outside, Steve's unease deepened. A primal sense of dread enveloped him, making the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. Shadows danced menacingly across the room, and whispers of long-lost souls seemed to drift through the air. The atmosphere was charged with malevolence, and Steve couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Suddenly, a violent gust of wind shattered the silence, rattling the windows and sending shivers down Steve's spine. From the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of movement. Two ethereal figures emerged from the darkness, their eyes burning with vengeful fury. It was the ghosts of the actors, back from beyond the grave to exact their revenge upon the man who had sealed their tragic fate. Paralyzed with terror, Steve could only watch as the specters drew closer, their spectral forms shimmering in the dim light. They radiated an otherworldly chill that seeped into his bones, freezing him in place. The air grew heavy with their presence, and Steve's breath came in ragged gasps as he awaited his doom. The vengeful spirits unleashed their wrath upon Steve, tormenting him in ways that defied reason. Apparitions materialized, distorted and twisted, filling his mind with horrifying visions of their violent deaths. He could hear their anguished screams echoing through the night, merging with the howling wind and crashing thunder. Time lost all meaning as the nightmarish torment continued. Steve's sanity teetered on the edge of a precipice, threatening to plunge him into the abyss of madness. He tried to escape, to flee from the relentless ghosts, but the movie set had become a labyrinth of horrors, each turn leading him deeper into the clutches of his own guilt. With each passing hour, the torment intensified. The ghosts' ethereal forms grew more grotesque, their eyes glowing with a malevolent fire. They taunted Steve, whispering wicked secrets that tore at his fragile psyche. The line between reality and nightmare blurred, and Steve could no longer distinguish between the phantoms haunting the set and the ones tormenting his mind. In the depths of his despair, Steve realized that there was no escape. The ghosts of the two actors from The Haunted Car had become an inescapable part of his existence, a haunting reminder of the consequences of his mistakes. They had become his personal demons, forever etching their spectral presence into his soul. As the storm finally subsided, leaving the movie set cloaked in an eerie stillness, Steve remained trapped in his car, a prisoner of his own guilt and the vengeful spirits that refused to release him from their clutches. He was forever condemned to relive the horrors of that cursed film shoot, forever haunted by the tragic deaths that had stained his hands. And so, the abandoned movie set of The Haunted Car became a spectral prison, a place where lost souls lingered and nightmares roamed freely. The spirits of those who had perished sought solace in the torment of the living, forever reminding them of the horrifying consequences that awaited those who dared to unleash the darkness within.